here we are at Daytona for my second race of the week. And this is going to be a really great showing of how good these cars are now with the new tyre model they've received this season. It's just going to be a good showing of some defensive driving. So I'm going up against some fast drivers in this split. I'm very much out of my depth because I'm coming from GTPs, so it takes a little bit of time to adjust to driving these GT cars again. Now starting off into turn one, that BMW goes around our outside there, making a nice move of it as we were free wide for a moment. We already have one car off to the right, but we've got to really be careful here as it closes up between us. The Acura is defending to the inside, so I'm just going to go for the outside, trying to maximise my potential on these cold tyres. That understeer is really kicking in there on the power, but that works out in our favour, avoiding that Corvette that was turned sideways in the middle of the track. Quite the scare to come out and see that, but we got through safely. Now we have a big lift through the kink. That's the first time having to do that in a GT car, but that's just what these cold tyres make you do now. Again, now just going to go around the outside, trying to really maximise my pace on the cold tyres. I'm using my experience from the GTPs and knowing that I need to underdrive the car, but I know how to balance it so I can still use the tyres. Unlike that Acura in front of us, we just about avoid coming onto the oval. He's sideways, but looks like he's kept out the barrier. We haven't lost too much time to the cars ahead of us, so I'm now hoping we can work with this BMW in front of us to try and catch up to them and gain more places, because we are pulling away from the cars behind, so we might have a great opportunity to work together here. But coming into the bus stop, that is another danger zone where people can get caught out by the cold tyres. And we have a car going off to the left straight into the barrier. That looked like a very heavy hit for them. You can see just how much the BMW in front of us had to slow up there just to make sure they got through safely. Looks like we're just about in touch with the cars ahead, but we can now have a look at those incidents. And that car we saw go off to the right in turn one was actually the lead Acura, just pushing it too hard, and that goes to show what happens. And same getting on the power as this Corvette demonstrates. It's just so easy. It's catching so many drivers out. And at high speed again, it's another place where you have to be careful, as this Porsche demonstrates for us. And with that, we are now up to P10, up 4 places from where we started, and still going strong with the BMW, who I'm going to try and give the bump draft to, but I forget you do need to be perfectly aligned in order to safely bump draft in these cars. So I back off, making it clear that that was a bit of a mistake on my part, and I don't want to pressure him into turn one. Just want to try and break away from the cars behind who have managed to catch up with how strong the slipstream is around Daytona. This is a fixed setup, and it is Daytona's fixed setup, so there is a little less swing than there is normally, which means these cars are still pretty quick in a straight line. But we're still right up in a big pack of cars now. Looks like this extends all the way to P6, so we have a good opportunity here if we can keep in contact with them, that we might be in a battle for one of the higher places. Just going to be following into the BMW now. Our tyres are actually up to temperatures now where they would have been on lap 1 last season, but we now know that we can push that little bit further and not have to worry about heat spikes. But it's still going to be key to adjusting here just to how smooth you have to be with the GT3s to really carry speed with them. I'm still very much going to be learning that through this race. I'm still adjusting, and that's going to be the difficulty I'm going to encounter later. But for now, I'm just going to be following the BMW, offering my support in the bump draft as much as possible. But I'm now watching, so we can see that Porsche going to the side of the McLaren in front of us into the bus stop. That's a very dangerous move. We're going to see how that works out for them. The McLaren is backed out, which then causes a big concertina. We avoid the BMW, and thankfully the cars behind us also check up there, but now we are really close together. And it's going to make it interesting into turn one. With how strong the slipstream is, it's going to give the BMW a great chance here, especially helped by the fact that the McLaren has lost the slipstream of the green Porsche in front of him. That means, though, it's going to be very difficult. He will have to be ahead of the McLaren before he gets to turn one here. He's not quite going to be there, so I'm actually going to try and play for the inside here. So I know it's very difficult to go around the outside, so I give the McLaren a little bump. Now I'm going to follow him through on the inside line, but he's really checking up, really slowing up here. That's putting me under pressure from the 2 McLarens behind us, who are starting to get close, and he's checking up again through the kink. That's getting very dangerous as we get hit from behind. Thankfully it stays a 0x, but we are now 3 wide for a moment into the first horseshoe. I just try and hold it as tight as possible and then get on the power, but we come into contact with one of the other McLarens on our outside. Back out here coming into the kink, so I just don't want to fight it that hard here and lose more time to the cars in front of us. And that car 1 McLaren there, Jesper, actually tries to go around the outside of the 14 in front of us. He's not quite able to make it into that turn. That's going to keep him close enough now as we come onto the banking in just a moment. It's like he started at the back here. He's up 7 positions already, so he wasn't too far behind us. But now the BMW's actually pulled off to the side and is slowing down there. I checked back at the end of the race and I wasn't quite sure why they backed out. It didn't look like they had any sort of hardware issue. But we're now going to focus on the McLarens in front of us because we can see Jesper going down the inside and there's contact between them. And the second McLaren has been turned around. Looks like Jesper has gotten some damage from that. And we're going to secure a position. But wow, what a move that was. You can see here on the replay, Jesper just puts their nose down the inside. And well, I'm not quite sure there because you can see the 14 does go up a little bit there. But it looks like they may try to come back down. Ultimately, in the end, though, that's not worked out favourably for either of them. Now we rejoin onto the end of lap 3 and I am now going to be defending into turn 1 because Jesper is right behind me here with the slipstream. I don't want to let him pass because the cars in front of us are gone, so this is now going to be the battle for P8 until the end of the race. Jesper tries to hold it around the outside, but I know as long as I'm there on the inside it's going to be very difficult for him, but we do close in together through that kink. He now has it inside into the first horseshoe. I try and brake as late as I dare here, but Jesper is still there on the inside, and I get a big moment of understeer into oversteer. So I have to back out on the power, and that lets Jesper get in front of us. I'm going to stay right behind him here into the second horseshoe. Expecting him to go defensive, so I'm going to look to the outside, but then Jesper sort of keeps moving around here, so I have to check up a bit. We have Antonio behind us in that second McLaren, putting his nose there, but he backs out of it, thankfully for us. Just want to try and stay close to Jesper at this stage now. Not let them get too far as we enter the oval here. That's quite the little battle there, and it's not going to be over yet because I'm feeling here that I can get past Jesper into the bus stop. So I know I can't really make a move around the outside into turn 1, but if I can get in front of him before then, that's going to bring me a great opportunity to defend because I'm much more confident on the inside line. So coming into the bus stop side by side, I send it down the inside, leave space for him. He actually get through with no contact at all, but Jesper has actually got a slowdown from that. I have to review what happened there because I didn't see any contact at all through us. I made sure to leave plenty of space and I telegraphed my move. See down the inside there was lots of space around the outside using the barrier, but we're actually going to see that Jesper turned in a little bit too late here. So as we slow it down here and focus on his rear right tyre, he's going too far over the grass, and by iRacing's judgment that means he deserves a slowdown. Quite unfair in my opinion here. That really threw him to the back of the pack. That did, however, give me a few laps of safety until now on lap 5. But we've actually got Francesco right behind us. He was in the lead at the start of the race and went off into turn 1, and now he's going to be pressuring us around the outside here. So once again going to defend to the inside, carry as much speed as I feel safe with. And Francesco tries to cover around the outside, but that doesn't work. And now he cuts across the grass there, having understeered so hard, and loses 2 positions once again to Antonio and Jesper, who are still battling each other to catch up to me here. I'm really going to have to try and work to try and break the toe to both of them, but I'm feeling that they are definitely the faster drivers here. And Jesper was being the most aggressive of both of them. Here he is down the inside into turn 1, and Antonio very close between the two of them, but he's able to get the position, and Antonio nearly gets collected there by Francesco. But Jesper certainly had fire in his veins after that incident in the bus stop. You can see he's pushing so hard to catch up to me, braking so late there and able to close up right behind me. He had a lot more experience in the McLaren than I had in the Ferrari. I was definitely going to be at the deficit when it came to the pace between us. So it's going to rely on me now on lap 7, defending once again into turn 1. I know Jesper's really going to try and send it around the outside here, so I'll try and carry as much speed as possible down this inside line. We can see on the onboard there, Jesper goes so wide there. He just about outbrakes himself, which lets us get into the lead here. But he's still going to be close enough for any potential send into the first horseshoe, so I'm still trying to carry as much speed as possible here. That does compromise my exit a little bit, not helped here by getting on the power and having that little oversteer moment, which makes me back off. On the old tyre model, I would have probably lost a car there, so that's a great example of what the new one gives me. We're going to get another one here as Jesper really sends it down the inside now, managing to just about get it stopped on the inside. I let off the brakes just to carry a bit more speed and go wide there, and that allows me to maintain the position. So I know I need to be on the inside here because this is a very long left-hander coming onto the banking, which means that it's difficult, if impossible, to hold it around the outside there. So we are going to hold on to the position for now. However, coming into the bus stop, this has been my weakest sector the entire race. I just can't get it right in this type of car. So you're going to see here, I'm over slowing into the first part, which lets Jesper catch up. And then I'm on the power too aggressively, which then causes the car to understeer. Thankfully, now that is just a 1x. In the past, that would have been a slowdown for me, but I just cannot get that correct. And more dangerously, that allows Jesper to close right up behind me. You can see he's actually set the purple fastest lap of the entire race now. So I have to do everything once again into turn 1. And Jesper is even closer this time. Thankfully, he's not holding me beneath the yellow line where I'm allowed to be. But that does mean that I am not going to get the best entry into turn 1. I'm just able to carry that bit more speed there. That inside line is so good for defending. As long as I can keep doing that, I should be able to hold on to the position, because here into the first horseshoe, Jesper's going to try and send it around the outside. But once again, I have that inside line, which allows me to just get the apex and get on the power a lot sooner. And now Jesper is under pressure from Antonio, who's trying to see if he can get a turn at having a go with me. And that's going to hopefully give me a chance to break free of the two of them, because you can see Antonio is forcing that too wide into the second horseshoe. They are really side by side there. It's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top into the oval section. I'm just hoping I can try and use this opportunity to break free of them, because even Francesco is getting involved here. They are still side by side onto the oval, with Francesco just behind them. And it's great to see this sort of close racing with the GT3 cars, especially when it benefits me. And the battle came to an end as Jesper gets ahead of Antonio here into the bus stop. They were side by side for some time there, and they're still very close to each other, which has allowed me to build a little bit of a safe gap. So I'm not going to be under any pressure into turn 1. But Jesper is going to be under pressure here as Antonio's right behind him. Jesper tries to brake a little bit later, pushing it a bit too far there. He's able to just about keep control of the car thanks to the new GT3 tyres, but he loses a position and is now directly under pressure from Francesco, also looking to make the move. So he's going to make a mega send into the first horseshoe. Antonio just about turns out to avoid him, and Jesper falls back, but he's just about able to stay ahead of Francesco. Now my gap that I was able to build up over the next few laps slowly started to get whittled down. These guys were a lot quicker than me. The only thing that had been keeping me in this position so far had been my defensive driving. I'm going to need it on this last lap here as we're coming up to the white flag. And you can see it's now Antonio who's behind us in the McLaren. And he's only 4 tenths behind, so he's right in our slipstream here, which means I am going to potentially be under threat into turn 1. I'm not going to be immediately under pressure though, so I can take the normal line. I'm going to plan to just turn in that little bit earlier to cover the inside line, which is what I needed to do. Because you can see Antonio is now right behind us. I'm a little slower on the apex this time, so Antonio is still right with us. So I'm going to make sure I still defend into the horseshoe, staying about mid-track here, making a move very difficult. Antonio now has Jesper to his outside, trying again to try and get the position back from him. He's able to fend him off, and that gives me a little bit more of a gap, so I'm going to be safe into the second horseshoe. I've gotten a little bit more confidence under braking, so I can go that little bit later and maintain my place. You can see Antonio though is still that bit better under the braking, so he closes up once again, but I'm still in a safe place. However, Antonio has a big snap. There's a contact between the two of them, and looks like Francesco has gone off as well in all of that, as we have multiple yellow flags and the incident call out behind us. It looks like that battle has turned sour, unfortunately. You see it starts off with Francesco, who slides up to the side there, just getting on the power, and looks like the car could not take that. It was now between Jesper and Antonio. Looks like Jesper just got caught out by Antonio's sudden snap of oversteer and didn't react in time. You can see from the onboard he potentially might have had chances to avoid it, but that damage there was very critical looking at his steering wheel. All that then meant was that we were free to complete the final lap, and we were going to come across the line now in P8 after that fantastic battle with Jesper and Antonio, which I thoroughly enjoyed, thanks to iRacing's improvements to the GT3 tyre model, which I think they have really knocked out of the park. It's made these cars feel so much more responsive and really make me feel at home driving them, even coming from the GTPs. But that is the end of today's race. If you enjoyed it and you want to see more of this GT3 content in the future from me, please give a like and subscribe, as that helps me on the channel. I hope to see you all again next time.